Hello, and welcome back to the first in the third series of the Ricky Gervais Show, with me, Ricky Gervais, Stephen Merchant.
Hello there.
And the fool, the round-headed buffoon that is Karl Pilkington.
Alright.
We've been away filming our second series of extras, leaving Karl to his own devices in a sweltering London. About a heat wave here in the capital city, haven't we, Karl?
It's been hot, hasn't it?
It's been up to 100 degrees, record-breaking temperatures.
Yeah.
What have you been doing, though?
Sort of enjoyed it a little bit. Was out and about.
Yeah?
Getting to see the place, having loads of walks and that. I like to have walks. You know, watching what
like
people
a dog.
are doing.
Yeah! When he jumps off the couch and starts
Exactly.
scratching against the door.
Suzanne thinks it's time.
No, it's just good thinking time, though, isn't it? As well, having a walk. You've got no other clutter going on around you. And you just think about a lot of stuff. And, you know, like you say, with the weather being hot and stuff, a lot of insects knocking about.
Right.
So I've just been watching them.
so while we've been filming a TV show, you've been watching insects.
Yeah, just seeing, because everybody knows insects are out there, but no one's keeping an eye on them.
What are they up to? What are you worried about?
Loads at Steve, you wouldn't be laughing like that if you'd watch them, because they do some weird stuff and that, is what I mean.
What sort of stuff? Any examples?
I saw a bee have a heart attack.
You saw a bee have a heart attack.
Yeah.
How were you sure it was a heart attack?
Because what happened, I'd been
Did
in
it clutch its chest with all 6 legs?
No,
Were there some other little bee paramedics?
No, I'd just been out in the park anyway, just looking at, you know, caterpillars knocking about, butterflies and stuff, so I was sort of aware.
So when Suzanne goes to work, she goes, Karl, don't you waste the day. Just because you don't work at the radio station anymore, I want you to do some constructive stuff. And you go, yeah, I am, yeah. And so in your head suddenly goes... and he goes out, oh, there's a moth.
But the thing is, so I'd been in the park and I was aware of the insects that are around us more than, like, most of the time. And I come out of the park, just crossing, like, sort of a busy road and what have you, and I saw this bee to the right of me, sort of in the air, and it was a big one, and I was a bit like, oh, let's watch that. And it just fell. It fell from the air in front of me, and it was on the pavement. I thought, oh, what's going on here? And I looked at it for a bit, and it was really still. Gave it a little kick, just to see if there was any movement. Nothing. Stone, sort of, what's the saying? Stone cold dead.
Yeah! Stone cold bee dead.
So,
yeah.
that
I like
was,
the fact that this bee suddenly saw Karl and had a heart attack.
Yeah.
It'd never seen anything that round before.
Yeah.
It just thought, it had approached him because he thought it was a sunflower.
My
Like-
God, it's a giant walking orange. Every dream has come true.
no, but it just summed up life for me. I thought, that's like us, isn't it, at the end of the day? They have heart attacks, stress.
You
Living
put
in-
it down to stress, do you?
Well, it's in London, isn't it? You know, everything has stresses from living here.
And they are bald, aren't they? They've got fur all over, but they lose the...
And always overweight.
It was a fat, bald bee!
So what did you... It fell to the floor and you instantly... You just kicked it. You didn't
No,
attempt
I
to
waited a
revive
second and just looked at it to see if there was any, you know, leg movement or wing. And there was nothing. And then when I sort of kicked it, it was sort of hard. It had hardened already. It's just...
Rigor mortis had
rigor
set in.
mortis had set in.
Did it put you in a bad mood for the day? Because I know things like that can just send you over the edge for the day.
Death and that does a bit. Suzanne doesn't like me talking about death.
What riveting conversations do you come up with?
No, just things like one of our mates has had a baby recently, and I just was saying, oh, when that's sort of our age, we'll nearly be dead.
Think of that.
That's the first thing he says, is a new life brought into the world.
I know!
But when he's our age, we'll be dead.
Yeah.
No, it's
Maybe
weird.
they'll let you do the speech at the christening.
Yeah, it's just, you know, so like I say, just insect life and that, it's interesting.
You say it's interesting, but do you care about really finding out about them? Do you really care about what bees do or what ants do? You look at them and you make up your own world. For example, it had a heart attack, it's stress, it's overweight. You know nothing. I could probably... Won't you look something up? You know, honeybees are fascinating. You know, honeybees, they've been around making honey for 100 million years. That's incredible. Their wings beat over 11,000 times a minute.
And he's thinking, no wonder I had a heart attack.
Yeah, exactly. But they're do you know bees, like ants, are actually like specialised wasps. They're sort of developed from the same
Family.
Huh?
Family, like.
Well, yeah. Yeah.
Doesn't surprise me.
Doesn't surprise you, though. Does it interest you in any way?
Well, everything's linked to something, isn't it? It's like how they say away from monkeys and that.
Yeah.
It's all the same sort of thing.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I've been watching loads of stuff. I've been watching Ants. You mentioned Ants. I've had a lot of moths in the house. They're sort of sad.
I mean, you say it like it was a garden party.
No,
Yeah.
it's just all these things. You look at them. I mean, you go into the scientific bit saying, you know, it likes honey or whatever.
It doesn't like honey. The reason they store honey is to get them through the winter when there's not, like, nectar, or nectar's hard to get, and they store it. And they store too much, which is why we can skim a little bit off the top. We're like agents.
Yeah, well, but all I'm saying is I look at more about what its life is like as opposed
Well, no, you
to...
don't. You don't. You guess. You make it up. You don't look into it at all.
No, but you can. A bit of guesswork is you're pretty close to the truth most of the time.
Why? What do you mean? That statement sums you up. A bit of guesswork is pretty close to the truth.
Because if you watch something long enough, is what I'm saying, you can see that it's a bit clueless. It's the same way about ants, or, you know, they're hard workers and all that. I watch one, it's going back and forth all the time. They go one way and then they stop and go the other way. They try to look busy in front of the mates. But if you watch one... If you watch one long enough, it's back and forwards, and it's like it's done nothing there.
I'm going to carry this twig back and forth until I can knock off at 4.
There's a lot of that going on.
Is there?
Because there's not. There's none of that going on.
There is. No, like I say, the moth. Depressing little sort of thing.
Why is it depressing?
Just the way it hasn't got eyes, has it? You just look at it, it doesn't know what's going on. I just don't... I think if you haven't got eyes, you shouldn't have wings.
That's a rule. If we could put that into practice, please.
That's a great rule. That's a fantastic rule, isn't it?
Yeah.
If you haven't got eyes, you shouldn't have wings.
Certainly true of people thinking of becoming an air pilot.
Ah.
You know, whilst you've been working on that, I've been travelling about a bit, just seeing the country and that. Went to Dorset, right? Nice beach there. And you know those huts you get? Like a hut on the beach and you...
Oh, where you get changed?
You can get changed in it, but they're better than that. It's like you can put a telly in it, sofa if you want.
Oh, you don't mean the Victorian changing huts?
Yeah,
you mean
those
like...
sort of things. It's sort of bigger than that.
Yeah.
And we were walking down there and there was a really sort of big fat family in one of them. There was about 4 of them. And you could tell that they'd never had a game of anything, do you know what I mean? They just sit down there, eating ice creams, looking at the sea and what have you. And the weird thing is, the little fat kid, the youngest one, who must have been, I don't know, about 8, he was really fat, to the point of you couldn't see his neck.
Yeah.
And he sat at the front of his mum and dad and his older sister. He sat there, and he had a frisbee, and I thought, look, they don't want to play with him. I mean, that's an active game to play, isn't it?
Yeah.
Frisbee. As we got closer, he was just using it to eat Maltesers out of. I just thought, even, again, you know, the one active thing he's got, he's using it to eat out of.
Yeah. Extraordinary.
And that just sums up what people are like now when it comes to keeping fit and activities.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Were you sporty, Rick?
I was, yeah. I loved it. I absolutely loved it.
Were you good at it?
I was good at some things. Was never good at rugby. Never good at cricket. Was all right at football. But those things were the more competitive things that were scary. So at my school, when you're surrounded by, like, people the fun is hurting someone.
Well, it's weird you say it, because I remember the first day I went to play cricket, my mum said, as I was leaving, I was really excited about playing cricket, she went, be careful. I was walking across a playing field once, a cricket ball hit me on the head, I was unconscious for 2 hours. Freaked me out. On the way to play cricket, I thought, okay, always scared of the ball, because it's obviously, as you say, rock solid. I remember a couple of seasons later, I had to play rugby for the first time. As I was leaving the house, she went, be careful with rugby. I knew a kid once broke his back playing it.
I was terrified of rugby.
I mean,
I was terrified
scared.
of it.
Such a scary game.
The ball came to me, I got rid of it immediately.
It's mental.
Yeah.
I don't understand. And what I remember is, I remember a teacher saying you've got to play it very carefully because you can get seriously injured, you can hurt yourself, you could be crippled for life. I remember thinking, why are we allowed to still play this game at school?
I was worried about cracking heads.
Yeah.
And a finger in the eye.
How is it not banned?
That worried me all the time, a finger in the eye.
But they removed the asbestos from schools in the 60s and 70s.
Yeah.
But rugby,
I
it's
know.
allowed to play. It's mental.
Yeah.
You see, I had a mate called Mark who liked playing cricket, right? And when I used to say to my mum, "Oh, I just want to go out with Mark and his dad to play cricket," and she never used to let me go. She'd go, "Oh, I prefer, you didn't." And I used to always think that, it's because it's a dangerous sport. You can get hit on the head by the ball and it's hard. Put an eye out or whatever. But it was because his dad used to drive us to the place to play cricket, and he had his eyelids were too big, so he used to have to sort of have his head right back.
Like one of those old-fashioned dolls.
Right.
Where you can lean them back.
They clunk back and clunk forward again.
And she didn't like me getting in a car with him.
Sorry, who's this? Whose eyelids are too big? Growing up, you had a woman who had her head like a bag of spuds.
But I didn't know her.
No, you had 2 kids at school with webbed hands and feet and big heads. Yeah. You had a pigeon chest boy.
Nowadays, you're walking around with insects and moths like something from James and the Giant Peach.
Yeah, and you had a bloke whose eyelids were too big.
One thing I've noticed, that because I occasionally go to the gym, and those guys who work out constantly to give themselves extraordinary physiques, they're on the trip, they're on the weights, and they're really... I notice in the summer particularly, those guys cannot wait to get their shirts off.
Yeah.
Everywhere you see, they're walking around. If they've got a good torso, they are walking shirts off. Even, I think, if you go to nightclubs, I notice there's always one guy who's thinking, well, I have put so much work into this body, I have got to get my shirt off on the dance floor.
A vest, yeah.
And it comes straight off.
A brand new tattoo. I'm not covering that up.
Exactly.
I've paid a lot for it. Let's see it.
Yeah, yeah.
But that's what we were saying about bodies. I can't remember why we were talking about it. We've got to a point in science now that you can change your head. Right?
No, well, that doesn't make any sense at all.
It was a programme on... It was done in the 50s or 60s where they stuck a monkey's brain on a stick and had it wired up and it still worked, right?
Right, okay.
And that was in, like, the 60s or
right,
whatever.
okay. Well,
so,
to say to change your head makes no sense at all. Because if you put a different head on a different body, you're changing the body.
Yeah, I know. Well, that's what I'm about to say to you, though.
What?
That's what I'm saying. That I'd be more confident if I had someone else's body, because if anyone dissed it, I can go, no, it's bad, innit? But it's
what
not
are you
mine.
talking about?
What? It's like, say...
As opposed to someone else's head?
Yeah. Well, it wouldn't be me, would it? The head is me.
Well, of course it is, that's what I mean.
Yeah,
So
the
what do you
head's
mean?
me.
You'd be happier having someone else's body? What, than your own?
What I mean is, say if you're wandering about, for some reason, there's an incident. You have to take your top off and that, and everyone's looking at you, right? And you're a bit sort of, you haven't got the muscles and that, you haven't got the six-pack.
Right.
Which isn't that nice anyway. I don't know why that's become a nice thing, really, seeing the insides of you. You might as well... I mean, I know I came up with the see-through skin idea, but it's a bit weird, isn't it? You can see stuff.
No, it's the muscle in front of the...
No, it's not. Sometimes you can see...
It's not the
tubes.
outline of your
No,
organs.
you can't see tubes.
You can see tubes and veins and stuff.
Well, you can see veins.
Yeah, well, I don't want to see that. That's why we've got skin over it.
Stop looking at naked men, then.
Well,
No, but sometimes you can't help it because it's been hot, and like you say, there's people walking about with vests on and that. So anyway, what I'm saying is, say if some incident happened, I'm walking about with my top off.
Right.
Girls are laughing at me, right?
Why?
Dunno, they might.
Yeah, go on. So they wouldn't look at your body, they'd all look at your head.
So what I mean is,
Yeah.
rewind that, right, and imagine all that happens again, but I've got someone else's body.
Right.
Whose
Right.
body?
Just some fella who's died, and my body was injured, and they said, we've got a new body in. You can
Right.
have it. We'll
Yeah.
stick your head on it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, say if...
They're laughing at you.
They're
laughing at the body,
They're laughing
yeah.
at the body.
Yeah.
But at least I'd be able to sort of go, I know it's a mess, but it's not mine. At least I don't have to claim ownership.
So all of this extraordinary technology that can make put one head on another person's body, so you can go, it's not my body.
No.
But
And it's not your own.
I'm not being funny though. So if you have a body transplant, right, and you're there, you're at home, naked, you look down, lovely penis and a set of testicles,
Yeah.
right? What do you do with them?
What do you mean, what am I doing with them?
Well, do you like them?
Well, you wouldn't mess about with them as much as if they were your own.
But if you did mess about with them, would you feel guilty that you were messing about with another man's testicles and penis?
And it's the full body.
Yeah.
No, because they're not my hands either.
genius! You're a fucking genius! So what you're doing is watching someone else wank.
Yeah.
Well, one thing Karl has been doing over the past few months is writing his diary. He's kept that up. I don't know what he's had to write about. All he's been doing is looking at moths and ants and bees and going for walks. But I'm sure it's all in the diary. So, let's have a look at that. Oh, I don't believe he's only going to write it down the front.
We went to the park and had a brew. Suzanne read the paper while I played with a ladybird. I mean, it's like a child, isn't it? It's like what a child would do.
Suzanne read the paper while I played with a ladybird. His only friend is a beetle.
It climbed up my arm. It struggled on me hairs.
This is in detail, then?
Yeah. It kept stopping every now and then, and was rubbing its head with its right arm. It did it about 4 times, and always used its right arm. It rested for about 5 minutes, then flew off. Sunday. Had a bit of a to-do with Suzanne, 'cause she wanted a line today. I ate this. Once you're awake, you should get up. I got up and put the radio on really loud. She eventually got up. I told her insects don't have lions, so we shouldn't.
Why are you obsessed with insects?
You must be fucking unbearable to live with. You must be a nightmare.
No, I've just started, because I've watched insects a lot. I don't want to keep going on about them, because we're a bit insect heavy. But at the end of the day, if we copied insects, we wouldn't go far wrong.
I don't know what you mean, though. One minute you're saying they're great, then the next minute you'll slag them off.
Yeah, I'll slag some of them off if I don't know what they're doing, but because I've studied them a bit longer, I just think they're doing
You
it
haven't
right.
studied them, though.
He thinks he's like Darwin.
But you just slagged them off when you go, don't you think people that insects are doing stuff? They're not. It goes there, then it goes back again.
The ant was messing about, but only that one. The others were carrying stuff. That's what I'm saying. There's snidey ones in everything. In everything in the world, you get a hierarchy.
Oh, long words!
Ooh. The bookshelf was dusty, so Suzanne asked me to dust it if I get a minute. I ended up looking at every book.
Just the spine.
Yeah.
Just for a few seconds each. Yeah. Didn't open them.
I looked in the dictionary to see if the word dictionary would be in the dictionary. I didn't think they would bother with it being on the front page, but it was in the book as well.
That's a good point, though, isn't it?
No, it's not a good point, because you didn't tell us anything.
Dictionary is in the dictionary.
Well, of course it is.
Well, why? If you go, how do you spell dictionary? You look at the spine and you go, oh, there it is, D-I-C-T, and all that.
So what does dictionary mean?
It's a book full of words, isn't it?
That's what it means. All books are full of words, you idiot.
How to spell them. And if you don't know
No,
what
it's
it
not
is...
how to spell them.
All right, then, well...
I'll just look up something. No. It's not a book full of words to tell us what... No. It's the meaning.
Give us
It's
the definition of
definitive
dictionary.
meaning.
It's a book full of words if you want to know what the meanings are. But if you didn't know
Well,
that...
sorry, what was that sentence?
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, if you didn't know that, then you wouldn't be looking in it, because you wouldn't know the book is about that. So, if you don't know the word dictionary and what it means, you wouldn't be looking at the dictionary, you'd be looking at an A to Z. Because you go,
Why
oh,
leave it
there's
out,
letters.
though?
Just because there's so many words in the world, I would have thought they wanted to cram as much as they can on a page, and if dictionary is already on the front...
Is that why you suddenly used the word hierarchy for the first time ever? Did you find that in there?
Did you see hierarchy in the dictionary?
I feel
I don't know where
that
that
big
was.
word has pushed out about 26 other more useful ones.
Yeah.
No, well, Suzanne's been going on about me learning another language. But I sort of think your brain has only got so much room, hasn't it?
And the rest of it's filled with lard.
So, if I've got to learn everything I know, again, but in a different language, it's taking up space, isn't it?
You don't learn everything. Oh, God.
It's all
What do you mean?
storage, isn't it?
But you don't have to learn it again. You don't have to learn the concepts again. You're merely
Do you know how
learning
many
vocabulary.
moves there are in the human brain? You don't worry, you won't use them all up.
I feel that he has reached his capacity there.
Yeah. Well, you need another sort of... You need an update. You need some more memory.
Woke up to some interesting news. It's good when this happens because it sets me up for the day ahead. If it's miserable news, it affects my day. It said on the news that they have found 2 new flies.
Fucking hell, more insects! What have you done? Is that all you've done this summer?
Bong! Trouble in the Middle East. Bong! 2 new flies found.
Ladybird climbs up arm.
They were found in the UK and they were found close to each other. Maybe this happened because they were different than the other flies and weren't expected to hang about together, so that's why they knocked about with each other.
That would happen, wouldn't it?
What do you mean?
It's two new flies.
What do you mean? Does it mean there are two new flies that are a different species?
Yeah, two new species, and they found them close to each other, right?
Yeah,
and
but they didn't mean there was one of each.
No. Yeah, they did. They found two different ones.
No.
No, they have. Seriously, I know that. That's right. That's a fact. So you've got, like, I don't know the names of them. They give them odd names, don't they? Well, say
Yeah.
call it A and Fly B, right?
Yeah.
Fly A, I don't know. Say that's orange.
This is just...
B.
Fly B, yeah.
No,
This is
but,
painful.
No, but
This
I'm
is
just making it
painful.
easier
But
for
Fly
you.
B wears
Okay.
a little hat. He's got a little hat.
Alright, yeah, fine. Now, they found the orange one. I went, look at this over here. This is a bit weird. And they've gone, oh, that's a new species. Log it, whatever. And then the other one went, oh, keep your pen handy. Look at this one, it's got a hat on. So then they found them both within the same distance.
I don't know what that sentence means.
Keep going.
They
No, let
found
him
them
try and
both.
finish.
They found them both within the same distance.
But without interrupting him, let him finish this point.
Let me just make one thing clear. Karl Pilkington just said they found them both within the same distance. Think of that!
Don't know what it means, but go on, let him finish this point.
So what I mean is, they weren't knocking about with other normal houseflies because they were probably sort of going, oh, he's a bit weird. Leave it. Yet, because the other one was also odd, they're hanging about with each other. Don't you understand that? Why is that such an odd concept?
Because you think of it as like two little new kids in school.
Yeah.
They find out they're both new and they've got something in
Yeah,
common.
they're both goths, so they start hanging out together.
Yeah.
And this was on the news, was it?
Yeah, just on the radio, yeah.
I know if I looked into that story, it would be 90% wrong.
Bit tired today, because didn't get to sleep as early as I wanted due to a moth getting in the bedroom.
Fuck me!
I got it in a glass and looked at it for a bit and then let it go because Suzanne wanted to go to sleep. Looked up some interesting news. Some people dug up an old body in Ireland. Turns out it's well old and was here when dinosaurs were here. The really weird bit is it had hair gel in its hair.
Right, what is it?
Fella.
Well, no, it wasn't around when dinosaurs were here then.
Just a bit after.
Right, fine. A lot after, yeah, go on. I think any hominid, anything that could even be linked to anything that may become man, is only about 1 million years old, and I think Homo sapien is probably only about 150,000 years old. Dinosaurs are about 150 million to 250 million.
Yeah, no, it's not the age bit, that's amazing. It's the fact of, there's a fella, won't have even had shoes on his feet,
Right.
and yet he was worried about his hairstyle.
Right, well that's definitely not true either. This is unbelievable.
Well, there was a man on the radio doing poetry, says Karl in his diary. I thought I'd have a go at doing a poem about today.
Not really. Steve, I'm a little bit queasy. He hasn't really written a poem.
He's written a small poem.
No, he hasn't really.
Yes. If moths had eyes...
Fuck me!
Let me read the poem, okay?
Oh, fuck.
You wouldn't interrupt T.S. Eliot.
Okay. Oh, okay.
If moths had eyes, would they be happier? How do they know they're not dead? Cavemen hunting for food, but not before they style the hair on their head. What would last longer in dinosaur times? A blind man didn't stand a chance. Not with all them rocks about. I'd rather be a blind moth.
Right. It may be the greatest poem
Now,
ever written.
just you know, dissecting it briefly, you attempt to rhyme in the first 4 lines, but abandon the rhyming system in the last 3. Is there a creative decision for that?
Can we have Karl read that?
By all
Sorry,
means, yeah.
just you read it as you would like to. So this is imagine this, right? Okay, this is going out all over the world. This podcast, and now Karl Pilkington, a new poet from Manchester, now living in London, England, would like to read a poem.
If moths had eyes, would they be happier? How do they know they're not dead? Cavemen hunting for food, but not before they style the hair on their head. What would last longer in dinosaur times? A blind man didn't stand a chance. Not with all them rocks about. I'd rather be a blind moth.
He said it as though the last bit was going to rhyme. He said it like it was going to rhyme. Oh, God.
No,
I
but
think,
it's amazing.
I think,
It's amazing.
But I think he feels as though the final line, "I'd rather be a blind moth," is going to be one of those great, you know, a summation that somehow the moth is a metaphor. The caveman.
No, but
there's
all
no
I'm
metaphor in that. He really does mean he'd rather be a blind moth.
Yeah, well, I'm just because I've looked at the day's news.
Can we always do that, Carl? Can we always find a day, right, and always sum it up in your thoughts, a poem, just like that? I love that structure. I love that structure. If there's any English students or professors or novelists or poets listening, please email us what they thought of that poem, why it's good, why it's bad. So, you know, give us your thoughts on that. I mean, we would love expert opinion, poets, English professors. Just email us at podcast@rickygervais.com. Now, Carl, apart from being a poet, you are an author now. You've written a book. You know, which surprised me and Steve, because as Steve said, we thought you'd read a book before you actually wrote one, but you've proved us wrong, and all your teachers wrong, and everyone in the world who thinks you're an idiot. It is actually a very good book. I mean, a lot of it is transcripts from, you know, the podcasts, but you've answered some of your critics, haven't you? And you've tried to prove some of your theories. It's everything about Carl. It is like
All the drawings.
All the drawings. There's new stories, isn't there? I mean, there's so much effort. I can't believe it. He's been working on it for months, and it's out on the 18th of September. But you can order it now, can't you, on Amazon.com and Amazon.co.uk.
What's that book called?
It's called The World of Karl Pilkington. Well, thanks very much. Goodbye from me, Ricky Gervais. Goodbye from Stephen Merchant.
Goodbye.
And goodbye from the little hollow, egg-headed moron that is Karl Pilkington.
Right.
Well, episode 2 of season 3 of the Ricky Gervais Show, with me, Ricky Gervais, Stephen Merchant.
Hello there.
And Karl Pilkington.
All right.
What's been going on? What's been going on?
I've been to hospital. I was rushed to hospital, right, emergency and that. Had a tube put on my knob.
You had a tube put up your knob?
Yeah.
What's the story?
Kidney stones.
Ooh.
So, shouldn't really be here, to be honest, doing this. He said rest and that. Climbing them stairs on the way in.
To be quite honest, it doesn't look like you're expending a lot of energy at the moment. It's like at Zookeeper going, "Oh, that sloth move today. Calm down."
Yeah, but I had to get here. It's been raining.
Yeah.
I had to come up the stairs. I had to carry the computer.
Yeah.
Well, that's not entirely true, because your girlfriend was carrying it. I saw her outside.
Yeah, but I'm just saying.
And then you handed it to me and said, "Steve, carry this."
Almighty.
Yeah, I know.
That's already a lie.
Christ almighty. Whinging.
Not whinging.
I'm in show business. I know loads of people that wake up every day with a sore knob, feeling like they've had their kidneys probed, and they would say they were unconscious. So they don't whinge about it. They get straight back onto it. They, you know, a lot of them are on TV now.
Yeah, straight back to hosting game shows.
So you're rushed to hospital.
So take us through the events, because it does sound quite dramatic. You started feeling a bit of pain, did you, initially?
Felt a bit of pain, and I thought, you know, maybe I just pulled a muscle or something when I've been wrestling with Ricky and that, because you don't know what damage is being done. So I just think, it'll go in a minute, and then it didn't. It got a bit badder.
It got badder, did it?
So then I thought, I was crippled. I was lying on the floor in agony, looking on the internet, looking for sort of
still
solutions.
looking up monkey news.
No, I just put in like bellyache and stuff, and they were saying it can be loads of different things. And what I used to do when I was a kid, I used to always just get a cold ashtray and put that on my belly, and the coldness used to get rid of the badness.
Amazing.
The coldness got me.
Like a witch doctor.
Yeah.
This is like
a witch doctor happens to work in a pub.
It's like some sort of 5th century remedy, written in mud. Coldness doth get away with the badness.
Why specifically an ashtray?
Just because they sort of old cold.
They're old cold. What?
I don't know what this is. I love this idea that he's at the operation and he comes round and they're talking to him and his girlfriend gets a phone call and they say, Mr. Pilkington's maybe complications. He's just talking rubbish.
Yeah.
She goes, "Oh, good."
Yeah, he's back to his old self. What? Why specifically an ashtray? Sorry, because it's old cold. I understand it's old cold.
Yeah, we understand. Everyone who's done a medical degree understands old cold, but old cold belly badness. If you want to buy that book, Old Cold Belly Badness, it's the history of abdominal surgery by Karl Pilkington.
No, it just
but do you put it in the freezer or something first?
You can do if you want, but they're normally cold anyway. Sort of thick glass and that it holds the cold. But we don't smoke in our house, so I had to use a plate.
Oh, well, that's madness. A plate's not going to work. Famously, a plate doesn't work.
No!
So you put a plate on your belly, but that didn't do any...
No, that didn't work. So, called Suzanne and said, I'm in agony here. She said, go to the doctors then.
Good advice.
So
a lot of people have done that straight away, as opposed to going through the plate ashtray.
So he got into hospital, and he went to hospital and he said, "Have you got an ashtray?"
They went, "No, especially an ashtray.
This is no smoking."
So anyway, then we get in a cab and whatever. You go there. I have an X-ray.
His voice is even more boring than usual,
isn't it? Yeah.
Fuck me.
And they put me on a drip and everything. Give me some morphine and stuff. And found out that I had kidney stones. So that's why I was in hospital. And they get them out by... I don't know what's gone on, to be honest. I've got some tube inside me. From my kidney to my bladder. That's helping me stuff get about.
And so there's a little tube up the end of your knob into your...
Yeah, it's not there now. It's high up.
Right.
So it's high up between my kidney and my bladder.
But why didn't you have the thing where they go in the side? You had the choice to...
Because I said to the doctor, I'm not a doctor. I said, what do you think...
He went, "Stop putting yourself down, Carl.
He said,
we need you in the operating theatre now."
He just said, I said to him, what should I have done? Because he said, if you want, go home, and we'll get you in again or something. Something like that. And I said, no, I might as well have it done properly. Have it done now whilst I'm here.
Sorry, the choice was have it done properly or go home.
It was something like that. He said there's something you can do, and I said, oh,
flush it out.
No, because it's too big. It's something like 7mm.
And it's basically because you don't drink enough water.
Yeah. So anyway, I said, what do you think I should have done? And he said, tube up the knob. And I said, not my favourite one of the choice, but if that's what you think. So he said, yeah, have that. He did me little diagrams, which didn't help. He was like showing...
How big did he draw your knob?
Sort of normal size.
Yeah? Was it?
It was alright.
You weren't offended by them?
But he went into detail. It's just, more the tube and stuff in your bladder and your kidney.
What was your ball bag like? Did he draw that?
He didn't do that bit. He left that bit out.
Okay, right.
But he said, we'll just pop that up there. And then that's when Ricky turned up to visit. Came in laughing at me because we sat there in like me underpants and stockings.
In stockings?
Yeah.
Why were you dressed
He was there. No, he wasn't in bed. He was sort of out of bed with his little drip, right? He had his little boxer shorts on, just sat there, right, in his pants, right, and he had stockings on.
Yeah, because they stop clots or something. They put them on your legs. It's like, when people have got big veins and they go on a plane.
Right. Yeah.
You said you're not a doctor.
No, but I've seen it because Suzanne's mum did it, and she put them on ridiculously early, like 3 days before we were going away, and she'd never been away before, and everything was like over the top. Do you know what I mean? She was like, I best put them on. And so I put them on, and they I don't know what it is. It's something when you're under, your blood doesn't move about the same,
right?
And it can clot up in your leg. So you wear these tight tights.
And I came in to cheer him up, didn't I?
Yeah.
Was that a nice cheery experience, him coming in?
I had a headache at the time. I think I was a bit stressed out.
Well, he's just a man you want at that point.
Yeah.
He reassured you, I imagine.
Well, it's weird how it suddenly all happened quick. It was like as soon as he came in, it's like they got the finger out. And when I say
not
that,
literally,
I mean, suddenly I was being rushed down to have me stuff done, and I woke up and there was an Irish woman over me going, "Are you all right? You all right?" And I said, "Oh, it's stinging a bit." She said, "I'll give you some more morphine." And I sort of put my head up to have a look at my tackle because I wanted to see
If it was still there.
what was attached to it. Do you know what I mean? Because they said something about they might leave some string hanging out of it so they can pull the tube out.
It makes you talk.
So, I had a look for that. Couldn't see any of that.
Yeah.
But as she put the morphine in, all the muscles in your body go funny. My head just collapsed.
Your head collapsed.
Yeah, I sort of looked up to look at my stuff, but then she said, "Oh, you just need a little bit of morphine," and she put that in, and I just sort of went, oof. And then they sent me home about 2 hours after. But I'm in agony now, and
Are you in agony right now as we speak?
yeah, certain.
Now, are you a man who's had this kind of hospital experience before? Is this your whole first time?
I don't go do it to hospitals and stuff because I don't like them messing about. But it does make you think now. Do you know what I mean? Like life and everything. It's weird how it's all happened in the last month. From seeing that bee sort of die.
No.
Well, not really.
No. This is not a near-death experience.
It is
You
a
had a
little bit.
routine operation to remove kidney stones because you don't drink enough water.
No, I know, but
This is not a shark attack.
yeah, but it's all life-threatening. Otherwise, you wouldn't have to fill out forms, would you? Saying if everything goes wrong, Suzanne can have the house or whatever. And then you find out more about the body as well, which has been sort of doing me head in a bit. You're more aware of stuff in your body, which I don't like knowing about.
Yeah.
They keep checking your heartbeats and stuff, and your blood pressure. I don't like knowing about that. I just leave it. It's happening. Don't be messing with it. Stop measuring it.
Stop measuring it!
No, do you know what I
That's
mean?
the same with a knob.
It's that thing of like, they put that thing
That's what
on.
the anaesthetist was doing when you were under, wasn't it?
Yeah.
He was comparing the diagram to the actual thing.
Oh, God.
The fella across the way from me had the same thing as me, but he'd had it a couple of days ago when he was in agony. So that doesn't help when he's saying, "Oh, I've been to hell and back." Like, don't tell me that.
Sure.
I don't want to know. Just say it was all right and stuff. So it just the whole thing of a hospital is stressful. You know what I mean? They wake you up like every half an hour in the night, saying, "How do you feel?" It's like, "Oh, what? It's 3:30. What are you doing?" I've got to have it done again in a couple of weeks because what they've done now, they've popped that straw up, but the stone's still in there because they didn't have the laser team in with them. Blast the stone, and then that time they're probably going to leave a little bit of string out the end. Then they have to go about 3 days later and they pull it out. Tell you what though, when you are because when you're in hospital, you've got a lot of time just to sit there and think about stuff. And what I was thinking about is, what is the closest thing sort of living that's nothing?
I don't know what you mean.
What?
What's like the closest, like, do you know at some point something's gone from nothing to something? Hasn't it?
No, I don't understand what you mean.
Something, at some point people were nothing, and then something happened and they were something. Do you know what I mean?
But they were never nothing, were they?
Do you mean what is the first and lowest and most primitive and most simple form of life?
No,
He's right here in this room, Rick.
say like when you look at a stick insect,
Right.
you go, right, there's a slight crossover there from a stick to a living thing.
No, it's not.
It didn't used to be a
No,
stick.
no, it's not. There's no biological relationship between it and a stick.
But there isn't much difference between the two, is what I mean.
Of course there is.
It's a
There
huge
isn't.
difference.
They just sit there looking like a stick. That's their skill.
Yes, but there's nothing to do with being a stick. It's like camouflage. That's like saying when a soldier puts on combat gear, you're saying he's a cross between a human and a shrub. He's not a cross between a human and a shrub.
No,
is
but
he?
that's man-made
From a distance,
stuff.
you can't see him. That's the same as the stick
No,
insect.
but that isn't what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, have you seen them weird things that just look like they sort of look like a leaf?
Yeah, there are insects that have evolved to look like a leaf. So a bird thinks, oh, there's no tea there.
No,
That's
but
not a juicy insect. It's a leaf. I don't eat leaves.
Yeah, but at
Forget
some
it.
point, something has had it away with a leaf.
No,
What?
at no point has something had it away with a leaf.
No, to make it look that much like a
No.
leaf.
At no point did a beetle shag a leaf. There's nothing on a genetic level or molecular level, anything to do with it having anything to do with a stick or a leaf. It's superficial. It's the way it looks. That's all it That's like saying chameleons must have mated with green once. They are green.
No, but
it looks like a leaf.
What I don't understand is
it has evolved to blend in perfectly with its surroundings and fool predators.
But then how does it meet? How does it have relationships? It will be going around sort of having it away with a leaf.
No, it won't, because it doesn't know what it looks like. It doesn't matter. They do it with pheromones and attraction, and it's not like they, a stick insect will be talking to a stick for ages and go, "Oh, I've wasted my time here. This club's dead." Rude.
I was chatting to her. She was foxy, but she was giving me nothing.
But Dave, that's not a stick insect. That's a stick.
What are you talking about?
That's a stick. You've been talking to a stick all night.
I can't believe it. I just thought she had a great slim figure.
No, it's actually a real stick.
But I've been reading a lot about, I like spiders and stuff. Just reading about them. And there's one, right? It's got big legs.
Yeah.
Doesn't use them. It goes around floating in the air on a bit of webbage. Like
he just took a gamble then, didn't he? He took a gamble. He thought, do you know what? I'm going to go with webbage. Don't know if it's a word, not sure, but I could just say web, and I'm going to go with webbage. I'm going to risk it. And it didn't pay off, did it?
Webbage! Webbage!
But that's how it gets about. It's in the air like a kite.
Yeah.
And it's just floating about.
I've seen one, yeah.
So, that's what I'm saying about weirdness. The way all that goes on, and this is what I can't get my head round.
You have got your head round.
But do they get ill then?
He's just, for those listening at home, he has just bumped his head against the microphone.
Trying to mate with it because it's perfectly round, this microphone.
No, but when I was, like, this is what I'm saying, when I was in hospital and stuff, you do think about how others live, because insects don't have operations. Are they built better than us to survive in this world?
The trap you seem to fall into again and again and again is you cannot conceive of the fact that insects and animals do not have consciousness and personality and communication. They do not function in the way that humans do. You've seen so many Disney cartoons, you believe them now to have a life and wear bowler hats and go to work. But just in the same way that the cavemen didn't have Flintstone-type cars and have a little house,
but
you can't seem to understand that animals don't work in that way.
But what I mean is, you're saying that no animals or insects know anything, yet when you see them things on nature programmes where a load of ants are having a walk, there's always one at the front who's leading it all. So one of them's got to know something.
First. Or there are leaders in.
Yeah, but the other ants are going follow him.
No, they're not. They're not. They're not vocalising that in any sense that you understand it.
No, they're not saying follow him, but they sort of look as if to sort of say, I'm going this way.
Without cognitive
speaking.
reasoning.
It's not made a conscious decision to act in that way.
Yeah, but this is when you
if a raindrop falls on a bird's beak and it moves away because instinctively it's hardwired to be wary of things which drop on its beak in case it's dangerous. It's not thinking, oh crumbs, I better get out of the way. It just does it because it's somehow hardwired into it to act that way. But it doesn't stop for a moment and think. Which we don't really, except we then are able to rationalise our fears and our actions.
Well, I've been watching birds more than insects recently.
Oh, okay, you've moved on from
in the last week, just because I've sort of looked at the ant and the bee and that. And what I've found with pigeons is they've got wings, yet they walk a lot.
I'd love that to be a thesis where he got like a £500,000 grant from a university, and I said, well, Pilkington seems to, he's done ants and he's done bees, he's followed ants. Apparently they're not doing anything, some of them are lazy. We are granting him another £500,000. He's been working on it for a year. Please welcome Karl Pilkington.
Karl, what have you found?
Well, even though pigeons have wings, they walk a lot.
No, but even in times of danger, one was crossing the road and a car was coming, and you'd think that his head would say, let's start flying. Yet he just walked faster.
Well,
what's he doing?
It was doing stuff, wasn't it? It saved a bit of energy. Takes a lot to take off, doesn't it?
Yeah, but it's either that or you're going to get crushed.
Use the energy. It didn't get crushed, did it?
No, I don't think it did. No.
There you go. They knew what he was doing, didn't it?
Yeah, it just annoyed me. That's all. It's got a got a power, and it's not.
Power! They're all superpowered, these animals.
But that's why he thinks of the stick insect as like that. You mentioned earlier, that's its power, that's its skill. Like Spider-Man was bitten by a radioactive spider, and now he can solve crimes and swing with webbage, using his webbage. Whereas, stick insects is not. It's not a superpower.
But say if everything was at the same size as us, what would be the best thing to be? Say like a tarantula.
Yeah.
And a tiger. What would happen there?
A 15-stone tiger versus a 15-stone tarantula.
Yeah.
Well, I'd imagine the 15-stone tarantula.
Right, so it's just weird that, innit? It's a good job that they're small. Yet things are getting bigger because we're messing with the world.
But it's a ridiculous thing to say, isn't it? Because what would it eat? 15 stone. Well, it wouldn't happen anyway, because insects have insects and arachnids and invertebrate arthropods in general. They have a critical mass because they haven't got lungs. They breathe through things in their side called spiracles, and if it gets too big, the surface to volume ratio isn't big enough to allow it enough oxygen. So the biggest you'll find is like a foot-long beetle or somewhat weird
it's
like
big
that.
though, isn't it?
Yeah, and that's about as big as they get.
So
I wouldn't worry about it.
Again, based on nothing, he queries you.
And also, it's not a case that one that'll be born too big and can't breathe. It won't happen. That's why they're only that big, because
But it's
that
like
restriction.
fish, innit? How they say about a goldfish.
Yeah.
That thing about a woman who went on holiday and stuck it in a bath.
Mm.
She came back, it was 7 foot.
Right, that didn't happen.
No, that's a well-known thing about
No, it's not a
goldfish.
well-known
When's
thing.
what?
I'll tell you why. Because a fish will only grow to its surroundings anyway. So
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
you have
It's
to put it in a bigger tank.
Yeah, in a bath.
No, a 7-foot fish in a bath. It just fit the bath exactly, did it?
When she got back off holiday.
Don't talk shit.
It's
What
a
was it
well-known-
eating? What was it eating?
How long was she gone for? 2 million years?
yeah. She went to Mars and back.
Yeah.
It's just that fish are weird, aren't they?
Well, no, there's no.
Again.
That's a bollocks story. Once again,
No,
I don't
what-
know where you've heard it or read it.
It's a
or
well-known story.
a 7-foot goldfish in your bath.
But, no, fish are weird.
Ted,
like
you're
that.
not going to believe this. Come up here.
Well, how many fish do you see that have naturally died? That's the weird thing.
What do you mean?
Just ping-ponging around these ideas in your mind.
You just never see fish sort of just floating about in the water and you go, oh, died of old age. It's always been caught by a man or a shark's at it. You don't just see dead fish washed up, do you? When you think of the
Sometimes.
amount of fish... Not when you think of the amount of fish that are in the sea. There's loads of them, and yet you never...
Because they're eaten
walk
straight
down
away.
That's what I'm saying, though. Are they eaten when they're dead, or are they just being eaten?
Well, most things like that don't die of old age.
Yeah, that's weird, though, isn't it?
Well, no, because it's it's a jungle out there.
Yeah, no, that's why I said I wouldn't want to live in the sea. Because you've got to
Are
be
you
on-
sure you're not on morphine as we speak?
No, but in the sea, you've got to be constantly sort of alert, haven't you?
Yeah,
amount
but
of
that's
stuff.
true of all animals.
No, worse than the sea. The sea is like full of... you've got an enemy round every rock.
I love it! I love it! It's like a warning to crabs
Exactly.
and young squid. It's like the policeman that comes into your school.
Yeah.
What advice would you give... Okay, then. What advice would you give...
Some plankton.
Now, what advice would you give a 2-week-old octopus?
And what am I? Am I an octopus?
No,
you're
you're
yourself.
you. We've set it up that it can understand you with some sort of one of your inventions to talk to the animals. One of your brilliant inventions is just a watch you strap on its tentacle and it can understand human talk. I'm sure you'll come up with that one day. What do you say to it? What would you say to an octopus, a young octopus who wants to set out by himself in the sea?
Stay close to the rocks. And just let it know about the thing about it can get into a small space. You know, if you look at an hole, don't go, oh, I can't get in there. And sort of squash it and show itself. I can roll it into a ball and sort of say, look at that. Is that hurting?
I love the fact that the drugs make no difference. It's like there's no difference. Oh, God.
Because that's the only thing that's got in it. It's boneless. So
that's its special power.
That's what it can do. You can roll it up, and as long as it knows that. But that's the problem with a lot of powers, isn't it? That's the same thing about how people say don't have a go at bees because they're not like wasps. They don't sting you because once they sting you, they die. That doesn't know that, does it?
It's also not true, but yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It doesn't know, so it's not like the bees going around going, I'm not going to sting you because I'll die if I do.
What's your point there? I don't understand.
I'm just saying...
We shouldn't dislike bees.
Well, how do these creatures know what to do?
Instinct.
I suppose it's like that story you told me about the scorpion, innit? It's that, innit?
What, the scorpion and the frog?
Yeah.
What, the fable?
Yeah. What was it? It was a frog
the scorpion needed to get across a river, and it said to a frog, can you give me a lift? And the frog said, well, no, of course not, because you'll sting me. You're a scorpion. And he goes, well, no, why would I do that? If I sting you and I'm in the water and you drown, I drown. And the frog went, good point. So the frog gives him a piggyback, going across the river, halfway across, the scorpion stings the frog, and the frog's dying. And the frog's going, no, I'm going to die, and you're going to die. So why did you do that? And the scorpion said, because I'm a scorpion. What do you think that was meant to point out?
Just sort of be careful who you help.
No. It's meant to point out that you are what you are. You are your nature.
No, but it's also that thing of like...
I'm telling you, it's nothing to do with
if
what
you're
the frog was...
driving and someone's hitchhiking, don't pick them up because...
No, it's nothing to do with the mentality or the reasoning or the anything to do with the frog at all. The point of it.
Well, I don't know. I think Aesop was thinking a lot about the hitchhiking problem.
It wouldn't happen. That's the problem with a lot of them fables. They're putting animals together that wouldn't meet.
Oh, whereas insects go around shagging leaves.
Well, insects are with the leaves, whereas I don't know where a scorpion is knocking around with a frog. I mean, there's that weird one I remember
He's
watching.
Annoyed.
I remember hearing something about this lizard that sort of gets pally with the scorpions, even though they're not mates, they don't get on, but they've kind of got this agreement that the scorpion can live in their house if they guard it. And there's the local people used to stick their hands down these holes and get the lizards to make slippers out of them. And the lizards were getting sick of this. And I think somehow something happened where the lizards thought, look, enough's enough. We'll let you sleep in our den if you stand by the door. So the scorpion used to like stand by the door and stay awake at night whilst the lizard's having a kip. Fella comes along wanting to make some new slippers, puts his hand down the hole, scorpion gets him. Now that's what's weird with that two enemies have worked together.
It's called a symbiotic relationship. But at no point did they sit down and go, right, what we're going to do? I'll tell you what, I'll give you shelter. You give me that sting in case there's a fella wants to make slippers. Because all this happened way before people were making slippers.
But isn't it weird, though? Because people, there's nothing that happens like that in people, is there?
Of course there is.
What, like that, where you don't get on but you work with them?
Of course there is.
What?
Loads of business relationships. What do you mean?
No, but
Team
normally
up,
you stay... What I mean is you
essentially
stay
enemies.
away. If someone's being a bit weird...
There are loads of examples where you might go, well, I hate to do it, but my only option is to go with X, Y and Z.
But what I'm saying is, though, let me just finish.
Go on.
I live in an area where, you know, I sort of know a lot of the locals, and there's a local woman who's a bit mad. Now, I know her, but I choose to sort of stay away because it scares you a bit, doesn't it, when something's like that and it's unpredictable. So, you know, when I was in the little corner shop, she came in, right? She screams a lot, just screams for the sake of it, and you don't know if she's upset or if she's just doing it for attention. Then the scream will go from screaming to laughing. So you're like, oh, what's going on? And it was like rush hour. It was like rush hour time in this shop, and she chose to go in then, and she doesn't work, so it was like, why is she coming in now? She's had all day to go in. She just picked the busy time, and she was like about 3 places in front of me, and she was only buying a Yorkie and some earbuds. Right, and I thought,
A Yorkie and some earbuds.
yeah, and I thought, what's the rush? You've come at the wrong time, and you bought stuff that could have waited. You should never have to rush out for a Yorkie or an earbud, is what I'm saying. Right? And I ended up sort of going, I can't stand this, and I left. Now, that was me being like I would expect the scorpion to be, or the lizard.
I don't know what you're talking about now.
I have
I don't
no
know where
idea.
okay, so what do you mean?
No, I'm just saying how, like, I chose that woman could be dangerous, so I'll leave her to it. And that's where nature kicks in. And you go, I don't want to be here. I don't know what she's going to do. She's unpredictable. I'll pop back later. And then, I look out, I can see the shop. I saw her go, and she was, like, laughing to herself again and trying to climb up some ladders. And I thought, once she's gone, I'll nick back. I don't know what my point was. I don't know.
Oh, he's only got to reel it down.
That's the jingle for Karl's diary. We had bacon and egg on toast. I'm eager to get through the brown sauce, as the bottle is too big to go in any cupboard, so it has to be left on the sideboard. So I had about 4 dollops of the stuff. I love it, because, that made it into the diary. He's concerned about the fact that brown sauce is too big, so he's rushing through it.
I know, but I'm just saying the kitchen isn't that big, and it looks messy when you leave stuff out, doesn't it? And we've got this giant brown sauce bottle, and I don't want to chuck it away, because that'd be a waste.
So you're having brown sauce and everything,
On
your
everything,
cornflakes,
basically, yeah.
in your tea.
Yeah.
A wasp got in the flat. You know trouble's brewing. It was massive. The biggest wasp ever. Suzanne asked me to get it out, but I wanted to take a picture of it first. I was getting my phone ready when it flew at me. I reckon the sting on it could have killed a kitten.
So specific.
It ended up flying out the window on its own. Drama averted.
Oh, God.
We went out for tea. You're always in a cafe. That's what this diary. You spend so much time in a cafe. There were loads of flying ants. I kept kicking the table because I could feel them on my legs. I wouldn't be that jumpy normally, but I still had flashbacks of the giant wasp from the morning. Suzanne told me to stop being stupid because I was ruining her night out.
A night out in a cafe. Brilliant. Oh,
what was it, her birthday?
And flashbacks from an incident.
Yeah.
Like he's some sort of, like, war veteran. What is it? It's the wasp. It could have killed a kitten.
Bought some wallpaper. We got back and got on with it. The wall that we've papered before has got a big mirror under it. We papered on top of it again. I ended up reading my phrase book while Suzanne did the rest of the tidying up. Now, what's your phrase book? This is just you trying to master English, is it?
It's just a book that tells you little sayings and how they came about.
An interesting phrase is potluck. It came about when all people ate is stews. They used to chuck all sorts of stuff into the stew. You stuck your spoon in, and sometimes you got something nice like beef, or you could end up with a bit of frog. It's potluck.
Good, that, isn't it?
That's what it said in the book, did it?
A bit of frog.
Got up and checked the wallpaper out. There are loads of air bumps and it's buckled on the joins. I wish we'd never done it. Suzanne said the washer was broke and it's out of its warranty. She called up the people who made it and they said it will cost £150 to fix. I don't know how they know that when they haven't even seen it. I want to smash it to bits and see what they can do for £150. So much anger.
I want to smash it to bits. That'd be great, wouldn't it? 150, you sure? Come round.
Yeah.
And it's just like a cube that's been through one of those car crushers.
Yeah.
150 quid, there's 150 quid, fix it.
I watched the news and calmed down a bit, because there was a story about some Siamese twins who are having an operation. They've got 2 heads, 4 arms, 2 legs, 1 liver. The doctor said they will have 1 leg each. I felt bad worrying about the washer when people have bigger problems like the Siamese twins. Ricky and Steve asked me to do a poem about one day a week, so I thought I'd do one today. I can't obviously do it justice, so I should let the master read it.
You've done another poem?
Yeah, you said, just do one. If you have a day where you've had a lot of emotions.
Well, I loved the poem, and so did the listeners, and I knew they would, so if you can do that every week, that'd be a joy for me.
You can't force a poem, though.
No, I know.
So a diary's easy to do, because you just write down what you're doing.
But you've got to have some really meaty subject matter to be able to write a poem, Rick, as you'll discover.
I know.
Right, so, you know, you've heard what problems they had that day.
Go on then.
Bubbled wallpaper. What a mess. Washer dry and knackered. What a mess. Siamese twins separated. One leg less.
I don't know what rhyming scheme that is again. Oh, God. Oh, God. Oh. Oh, fuck me. Well, there you go. That's the end of episode 2 of series 3 of the Ricky Gervais Show. More next week. More drivel, more diary. Another poem, I hope.
Maybe.
Just more news and stuff. From me, Ricky Gervais, Steve Merchant.
Goodbye.
And Karl Pilkington.
Right.